Firstly, about the technology innovation, and secondly, it's about the business model. Third is about the policy from the government and from the regulators. So, sorry. Sorry. Is there anyone? Okay.
There we go.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with this part. And firstly, I want to talk about the innovation. About the innovation, first, there are two key things. One is the joint innovation center, or joint innovation. Why we talk about the joint innovation? Because we believe the ICT is not just regarding to the IT company or the CT company. It already covers the whole industry. Here we just show an example. For example, for the e-health. For the e-health, it must need the joint innovation from the medical industry and also the ICT industry, so that we can provide e-health to our customer. This is one thing. And another thing is about the grassroots innovation. So in the traditional innovation, perhaps just only a company, just a few people, perhaps 3 to 5% or 10% people could involve into the innovation. But this is not enough, and it also means high cost. So we believe, based on the graph innovation, firstly, it can increase the speed to market, and secondly, it will also reduce the cost. I believe what Apple's App Store already shows a very, very good example how to use grassroots innovation through the whole industry. The second part is about the new business model. Perhaps this business model is not similar like the traditional business model. I want to mainly mention about the cost, the basic cost of the infrastructure. Here we show on the left side of the presentation, we show our analysis about the cost of the national broadband. Korea is very, very successful on the national broadband, and Singapore, Malaysia, China is following the step of Korea. Here we show some the cost of the national broadband. You can see the biggest cost is not about the equipment itself, and also not the service. The biggest cost is the civil. It's a civil engineer. It's a civil work and layout cost. It will cover around 60 to 70% of the cost of the national broadband. You know, national broadband is the basic for I can say the information highway of the nation, and but the biggest cost is the civil work and the layout cost. So in some countries, it already have very, very good stories. For example, for the United Arab Emirates, they already in Middle East, they already have some very good practice. For the government, they already successfully urged groundwater and telecom companies to share pipes, which can significantly reduce the deployment cost. And similar practice exists in Northern Europe. And also we believe the policy is also very important to the ICT. Here we show some information from some commission under United Nations. For the broadband penetration, if the broadband penetration could increase 10%, it will contribute to the GDP for 1.3%. Definitely, ICT will become a good contributor to GDP. But several important things I want to mention is for the government. Firstly, it's about the market entrance and taxation. You know, the ICT industry is based on the technology of the silicon, but the cost of the silicon is based on the volume. If there are too many barriers for the entrance of the market, definitely we cannot control the cost. So the open market environment is very important for all ICT vendors globally. The second part is the high cost of the spectrum. High cost of the spectrum. In the past decade, I can say I use the 3G spectrum as an example. 3G spectrum cost is very, very expensive. It already become a very high burden on all the operators. Perhaps in the past 20 years, ICT company is a very big contributor to GDP. But in the next decade, if we want ICT continue to become the engine of the national GDP, the government also must invest some money to ICT companies. So, but if there are too much high cost, high burden on operators, perhaps the ICT in the future could not become the engine of the country. And the third important thing is the lack of the incentive of the new technology. For example, for the 4G, everyone is already talking about the 4G or the LTE, but the problem is still about the spectrum, because currently the bandwidth and of the spectrum is not enough in most countries for the 4G. So if the government cannot help to clear more spectrum for operators, perhaps I don't believe 4G could be success in the future. Governor will, for the ICT future, I believe governor will take more and more important roles in the ICT in the future. Governor and the regulators will take more and more important roles in the future. So I hope in the future we can work together with governor, with operators, and to have joint with innovation, which grows root in the future. Thank you. Thank you.